Hey, what's good, everybody? I wanted to make this one real quick about the bear spirit animal. You know, um, I'm gonna try to not get all personal until the end. So, in case you just want to hear about the bear as a spirit animal, you could get that information and then be on your way and all that good stuff. So, bear medicine is very, very powerful medicine, right? Or so obviously, if I'm using those terms, it has a lot to do with healing, right? It's a very respected um, animal relative, to native and indigenous people. A lot of medicine men, medicine women use bear medicine. It came to me when I was going through the hardest spiritual battle I could remember going through, and it stayed with me for you know, over a year as I was dealing with all that, right? So basically that, right, to start off with that, it's definitely a protective spirit animal. You could be going through something and it shows up to remind you that you are protected, right? Your ancestors are with you, your spirit guides, the spirit world, as far as animals, right? The animal spirits are with you. Let me put it to you like this, just in case you're not familiar with the whole spirit animal thing. It's kind of like the spirit animals, like, you really don't ask usually, right? Like, unless you're aware, right? Like, me, I'll call on the spirit animals because I understand what they mean at this point, right? But when they appear to me, like, I think every video I've made except for this one, it was because these last ones, because they appeared to me, right? The skunk, the hawk, the parrots. um I didn't ask them, or the caterpillar even. I didn't ask them. I didn't say, "Oh, caterpillar, could you come show me something?" Or, "Oh, parrots, could you come show me something?" They appeared at that moment when I needed them. So that was a blessing, right? I mean, if ever there's a blessing, it's that. Like, to understand that these animal relatives are coming to you at a time when when you need them to show you exactly what you need to see, right? And so how can you not be grateful for that, right? And also to remember, they could come in any form, right? It could be the creator himself coming to you through a bear, or a parrot or a hawk. And when you look in their eyes, right? Like, I've locked eyes with a hawk, a coyote, coyote, a bear. And I'll share that story at the end about the bear, right? When I've had these encounters with the bear in the physical form, right? um and you see something very familiar, or a deer, right? Where I saw the deer could feel like the pain I was going through, and we just locked eyes, and the sadness in its eyes from feeling my pain. So you don't know who is coming through in these animal relatives, right? So it could be one of your ancestors, like I said, or angels, the creator, because they choose, like, they'll come to you however they need to come to you to give you the message they need to give you, right? So, yeah, to not veer off too much, like, so protection, obviously, right? It's definitely protection. And what better way to show you, right? Sometimes people don't get it. Like, you could see, like, if you see a little scorpion, right, or a snake, you could think of that as a protective energy. But, when you see a huge bear, it's, I guess, making it very obvious, like, hey, you got this. Like, I don't know how many of you are familiar with, like, biblical things, right? But, there's, I believe it's Elisha, right? Not Elijah, but Elisha. And I think he was with someone, and he prays for them to be able to see, like, the whole army that's with them, right? Spiritually, there's chariots and horses and this and that. Like, there's a whole army of basically, like, God's whole army is with them, protecting them as they're going through something, right? Uh so it's like that, right? Like, you don't know who's with you, but the bear makes it obvious, right? Like, hey, just in case you didn't know you're being protected, boom, here's this huge bear to show you, like, that's the fierceness. Or you could be in that energy, right? Like, for example, what could be more fierce than a mother bear protecting her baby cubs, right? So in that sense, it could be the spirit world showing you that, like, hey, the fierceness they're protecting you with is like, I wouldn't want to be in the shoes of whoever was trying to do bad stuff to you, right? Or sending you negative energy, or whatever negative you know energy is out there, demonic stuff or something, trying to mess with you. Like I wouldn't want to be in their shoes, at the end of that battle, right? Like the bear is a reminder. That's just like a mama bear would protect her, and you could be in that energy of having like letting you know, like, hey, maybe you'll be like up in your head, like, man, I overreacted. I shouldn't have gone crazy on somebody. But it was to protect like a family member or someone that was weaker than you, right? Maybe you were stepping up for someone that's weak, that you consider weaker, that couldn't defend themselves, right? And so, you were a voice for the voiceless, basically, right? Like you stepped in with that fierce mother energy, or someone's showing you that there's that fierce mother energy around you right now, like, so they're protecting you with that fierceness, right? So obviously, or it has to do with strength. Maybe you're forgetting how strong you are, right? Like you have to remember, like, and they want to remind you, like, hey, this is how strong you are, and I'll share that story, how it came to me as well, because it had to do with all that, right? Really, all those things. But so to remember your strength, you're a lot more powerful than you're remembering, because that, right? Like there's this saying, you know the enemy's objective is to get you to stop you. And I love that saying, because sometimes that is all it is. I mean, I'm gonna make a video about spiritual warfare. I was supposed to make one, but things happen, and so I'm gonna end up making it. That's gonna be my next one. I'm gonna make it probably today, after I finish this, right? But like, that's the thing, right? Sometimes it's like, there really isn't nothing to be afraid of. When you get into spiritual warfare, you understand it's sometimes like that, right? Like sometimes they can't get to you. You're so protected spiritually, and you're so aware of your conscious and subconscious thoughts, that the enemy can't penetrate you, because its goal is to get you to stop you, right? But that's why they'll use someone. They could use a family member or other people that aren't aware of the spiritual warfare. When I used to, like, when I would be in relationships, I've warned girls that I was with, like, hey, we're gonna be attacked, like, spiritually. Like, I've told them straight out, and they still didn't get it, right? They still didn't get it. And when it did manifest in, when it was a little maybe too high for them to understand, because I was constantly in that, right? I was constantly in that mode of understanding, like observing everything, like, oh, like, that was like someone trying to, I wonder what whispered in this person's ear. Because, I've got it from everyone. People I would have never expected to come at me in that way have came at me, like, the enemy had to use them, because I was standing in my, in this spiritual awareness to that point where they couldn't penetrate me, so they'll use those around you, right? So that's why, like, the bear will remind you to stay in your strength. Like, they really can't penetrate you unless you give it. They could whisper all they want, right? Like, they could whisper all they want, like, pss, 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 whatever. I'm sometimes, yeah, you might even feel physical ailments and this and that of things, but that's regular with war, right? If you get into a fight, like, obviously, you may get a couple bruises here and there and that and this, but you know like, when you're connected spiritually, you can't overcome it, right? I don't even want to doubt that, because I know that you can overcome basically anything like the enemy throws at you, right? So when the bear is appearing to you, that's pretty much the epitome of it, right? Like, hey, like, remember your strength, right? And healing, obviously, right? Like, if you've gone through a battle and you're healing, like, that's why, medicine men, medicine women, they use bear medicine, because it's so strong, it's so powerful, right? And also, right, like, a bear hibernates, right? It doesn't care. Like, when it's hibernating, that's another form of thinking of the protection. It hibernates without a care in the world. Like, it knows it needs to take that rest, right? It rests, it's protected. Sometimes, back to, like, more, I guess, not so serious things. It's like, you could be overworking yourself, and the bear is reminding you, hey, it's time to hibernate. It's time to take a break. Like, if you keep pushing yourself, you're gonna hurt yourself more and lose out more in the long run than if you would have just taken that break to recover, because your body needs to recover, right? So it could be reminding you, like, if you keep pushing yourself, it's gonna actually cause you to, it's like a car. When your car's showing you signs of this and that, and you don't take it to get an oil change or this and that, and it ends up messing up worse, and it's out, like, you're out more money, you're out more this and that, the more time wasted probably from work, so it just all piles up instead of taking care of it when you need it to. So the bear will remind you to hibernate, right? And take a rest, heal, right? That's why it's also powerful medicine in that way. They also remind you to not take things too seriously. They are thought of as nature's comedians. I mentioned that in the coyote video, how to me the coyote is a character, like they're really funny, but the bear is, just the way they do things. If you ever see videos of them going inside a house, or the funny things they do, right, when they're trying to get honey or they're trying to get into things, they're very curious too. So they're funny. They'll do things like, I seen a video of when, a skunk sprayed a bear. I mentioned that in the skunk video, how, here comes this confident bear all strong, and then it goes up to a little skunk, and the skunk just sprays it and it takes off running, right? It didn't expect that. And so, it's funny. Like, it'll do funny things, right? So it could remind you to not take things too seriously all the time, right? Also, they are curious and they are very intelligent, right? They can open a door. They can do different things like that. They're curious, and it's to remind you too. It's okay to be curious in life, figure things out, learn, right? It's okay to delve into things like that. So they have that energy too. So they might be teaching you stuff like that, right? What else? The healing, resting. I think that's about it in that way. Well, the family thing, right? Like I talked about how a mom protecting her cubs, so it could definitely be a family thing about reminding you the importance of family. And when they came to me in vision, I guess I could go on into the personal stuff. So if you don't, want to hear my stories of how the bear has came to me, then you could go check out one of the other videos, or just keep listening, right? So one of the times it came to, like a lot of the times, they were actually coming to me in visions quite a bit, right? Even before I went through the like huge spiritual battle. And I told this elder about it. I was like, I told him about the visions I was having regarding the bear, how it was like always waiting for me and this and that. And once I told him, he knew. So because they're that important in native culture, right? So then we talked about it. We talked about like all the visions I was having regarding the bear. And so one of the other things that happened to me was like when I was going through the spiritual battle, like even before it started, I had ran into this little baby, like a cub bear, right? It was in the mountains. It was like almost 100 degrees that day, or maybe it was. And there were these people kind of blocking it in because it was right by the highway. So they didn't want it to go off into the highway and get run over, because cars would pass pretty fast right there, like in the mountains, right? And so I went right there. I saw people had given it food and everything. And, I noticed, like, dude, this thing, like, it has to be thirsty, right? Like, the cub has to be thirsty. So people had put like 2 little bowls right there. So I put water, and boom, it brought it back to life, right? And it even started walking towards me, and I wanted to touch it and everything. But, there were people like those, like, oh, you're not supposed to feed that. Like, there were people actually saying that. And it was like, I get it, why? But, to me, there's that weird thing that humans do, right? Like that stupidity of, something's about to die. Like, how could you not have that compassion? Like, it's insane, right? That's why, like, it's good. That's why I love native culture, that it always reminds you that there are relatives, not to look at them like, oh, well, we're the human, we're the smart ones, and these animals are just there for our entertainment or to fill in the gaps or something stupid, right? But yeah, they're the ones that, we're the ones that damage the planet, and they don't, right? We're so, these, we're like the higher beings, but yet the animals would never damage the planet in the way that humans do, right? So that's just a quick little insert right there, right? But anyways, so I gave water to this bear, right? Then when I was going through my spiritual battle, I remember I ran into this bear, and it was doing funny stuff. That was one of those days to remind me of, I think I put the video of it. The bear was scratching his back like on the trash can. It was funny, right? So I think it's on my channel, right, somewhere as a short, the bear scratching his back. But we looked, like, when I looked at its eyes, it was coming towards me, and I wasn't afraid of it. I felt the energy. But just because the whole human thing, I was like, let me get in my car real quick. And it comes, and it's like looking at me through my window, and I'm looking at it. And it even puts its paws backwards. Like, it purposely didn't want to scratch my car, Like, bears don't care. They do whatever they want. But it, like, and, like, we're looking at each other. And I looked at his eye. I was like, wow, it was familiar, right? Like, it was almost like Tommy, like, you nurtured me once. Like, I'm here to nurture you now, right? Whatever you're going through, like, I got you. Like, don't worry. Like, I want you to be joyful, kind of thing. And that was a very special moment, right? Like running into the bear like that. It had a tag on its ear, so that's why I was like, I wonder if that day, like the rain, because I even drove out of the mountains because I didn't have reception to try to get. I called the sheriff, then they left me on hold forever. I think they were like, why the hell is this guy calling us to report a bear? And they left me on hold. They were probably like, this is what the hell, like. But to me, it was like I called the ranger. I couldn't get an answer. I left a message. I was just trying to get someone to go pick up the cub bear, and I think finally someone did because people waited right there. I was there for over an hour, and then I drove out. I went back, and then after I finally left, because there were people there, like it looked like they were gonna wait till whatever came right to for the bear. So I felt like it was the same bear, like later that. And it was like, okay, you nurtured me once. Bears remember, right? Obviously, like in the eyes you could see it. And so the other time was I felt like I was being spiritually attacked. And then I'll end it because I know I don't want to make this too long, right? So when I was being spiritually attacked, the bear kept coming to me, and I even ran into it in person. And they were like 10, 15 feet from me, and we looked at each other, and then it just took off running up the mountain. And I was like, wow, like I just stood in front of this huge bear, and like I didn't feel any fear. So what am I afraid of? Whatever is attacking me spiritually. And then it came to me in that way, right? It actually came to me like it was attacking me. I had never been attacked by a bear. And in the spirit world, like in this vision, it was attacking me, but I overcame it. And it was crazy. After that, it's too like when I started feeling like, because I was getting all this, the attacks were coming in the form of like anxiety and panic attacks and all this stuff. But I knew it was a spiritual thing. And later it was confirmed because all these people from all these walks of life, different religions, different ethnicities, were all going through something at the same time. So it was some collective attack, like on a huge scale, right? People from all around, different states, just spread out. Like, so it was confirmed to me that I wasn't the only one going through the spiritual warfare, right? Um, and it has happened to me like that a lot, right? Like I always said, like 2020 was the year of the pandemic, but 2019 was like my 2020. Everything happened to me on that year, and then the next year when everyone was going through their thing, it was like I was able to deal with it, I guess, a little more gracefully because 2019 was my 2020, right? Everything that could have gone, I guess, wrong did. And then once I overcame it, like 2020, like when everyone was losing their mind, it didn't hit me as hard because 2019 was that for me, right? So I think that's why. See, the bear had already been coming to me and coming to me in visions, but after when the spiritual attacks began, it really made its presence known, right? It kept coming to me in visions, a very family thing, right? Like I would be in these visions, like in the forest or woods, then all of a sudden all these bears would pop out, like boom, 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 like, hey, we've been waiting for you, kind of thing. So I had tons of visions like that with the bear, and I never really had it in my life, like not like that. And then when I ran into them 3 times, right, like they reminded me of that, like definitely the strength, the courage. It instantly changed all that, right? Like I was able to stand up to whatever was attacking me. And yeah, so I don't want to, because right now in my brain I'm like reliving all these things, not in a negative way. Just I'm really like I'm able to go there, right? Like when I remember something, like it's like I'm literally standing in that space, right? And so right now it's like I'm there, like going through all that, but not in a negative way at all. Like I just remember. So I don't want to make this too long. That's my point. Like because I'll be explaining the whole story. But hopefully you got something from that. Um you know, ask questions if you ever want to ask questions, right? Cuz I try to make this one less personal until the end so you could come and get what you need to get from it, right? That whatever however you're relating to the bear relative at the moment. Like I said, it's a very special spirit animal, not just to me but to many, right? It's funny, I was even gifted like not too long ago these pantuflas. I forgot how you say it in English, right? But like with some pantuflas. I really don't remember how to say it in English. I know they're not sandals, but the pantuflas, right? And it has bears on it, right? It says Uncle Bear, and underneath it has all these bears, like a family of bears, and it's crazy. Like it reminded me, I guess, that right now I'm in that energy, right? Like, I thought it was the craziest thing when they gave them to me. I was like, what? And they didn't even know that underneath it had like all the bears, like a little family of bears. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like something reminded me, almost like the spirit world kind of reminding me, like this is who you are right now, right? Like I have that energy, right? Like I'm walking with the bear. And so on that note, I'll end it. Thanks for listening. If you like my stories, subscribe, share, like all that good stuff. Comment. Let me know your experiences with the bear and the bear medicine. And I'll see you soon. Peace. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.